My hero. That's how I have to start this interview. And I don't think we're going to make it through the first minute with a dry eye. I want to introduce you to my friend Kim Todd. Kim has lived through every nightmare of a parent. She lost her son, Zach. Boy, I didn't even make it to 30 seconds, did I, Kim?
No, okay.
And well, you're my hero because you are a strong believer in Christ, and you are sharing your story in such a beautiful way. And before I really just start bawling, why don't you just talk about your book and how it got started? And let's just start with your heart.
Well, thank you, Suzanne. I'm never published a book before this one and everything, but my whole life I always wanted to publish a book, and I've tried several times, but just never got past like a few chapters and everything. And when my son Zach was killed in a car accident, my whole life just went spiraling downhill. I just didn't think I was going to live to see, the next moment. I just couldn't get through it because as parents, that's every parent's worst nightmare. It's losing a child. And I'd always told God that was something that I could never handle. I said, please just, never let anything happen to my children. And
Anything but that.
yeah. Exactly. And I can handle anything, but not anything happening to my children. Because, I was sort of like a helicopter mom, I guess you could call it. I was always there making sure everything was so perfect for my kids and everything. And I just wanted nothing but the best for them. And then when Zach died, I just couldn't understand how God could do that to me and my family, because I'd always been a strong Christian. I'd always raised my kids in a Christian home. I'd always tried to do the right thing. And I just couldn't understand how he could do that. And then when I was crying out to him, saying, I just don't understand why, he told me to trust him. I mean, the words, I closed my eyes and I was praying and crying, and just the words trust me in big, bold letters just kept showing up in my mind's eye. And so I said, I do trust you, but I just don't understand. And as I was struggling with it all, I realized that God knew how I felt because his son died too. And it was such an amazing revelation to me. And so I said, I'm going to trust you, Lord. I don't understand it, but I'm going to trust you. And then after I made that commitment to just trust him, it was amazing the things that he did for us, me and my family. It was just unbelievable. And so we started sharing it with our friends and everything. And they kept saying, you have to write a book. You have to write a book. And I was like, I don't even know how to write a book. But it's always been in my heart. But I just didn't know where to start.
And it was because of that you wrote Heaven's Postcards, A Mother's True Story. Kim, share with us some of the signs that God was giving you that things were going to be okay. Kind of the blessings of trusting him.
Well, it was incredible. In fact, I don't think anybody would have believed it if I hadn't had witnesses with me. It was just unbelievable. But the first big one was when I went to his house to get some of his belongings for the funeral, and my daughter that was going to college in West Virginia, she had wanted to get something as a memento of his, and she had picked up a thesaurus that he had, and so she was looking at that just a few hours before the funeral, and I was laying in the bedroom just thinking, I'm not going to make it through this funeral. I just knew I wasn't going to make it. And then my husband came in with a piece of paper, and he said, Kim, you won't believe this, but he says, Monica found something. My daughter Monica had found something in Zach's thesaurus that I think you would want to read. And so I looked at it, and it was a poem in Zach's writing, and the name of it was If I Die Tonight. And it was the most unbelievable, right to the hitting the nail on the head. It was talking about if I die tonight, Mama, don't cry. You've raised me right, and we're always by my side. And I'm in a better place in time now that I've died. And I was just like, what? I thought it was crazy. And I couldn't believe that. And so, I just finished reading it, and it was like, oh my gosh, my son sending me a message from the grave that heaven's real, and he was happy. And so I read that night at the funeral. I talked to everybody and was telling them that, God is in control, and that one of the verses in my life has always been very important to me is Psalm 139:16. All the days of my life were written before one of them ever came to be. And so I always kept trying to remember that. And I thought, wow, God made my son write this poem like 6 months earlier, and for us to find just at the right moment. And So that was one of the signs. Another one of the signs was like happy faces in the clouds that were unbelievable, crosses in the clouds, and it was all at just certain times of at moments that we were having, and it was just a reminder: I love you, and I'm here for you. And
Hence the postcards. Hence the
exactly, that
postcards.
was postcards. Exactly.
And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but you were telling me today that you were nervous about the interview. You went around the corner, you were praying, and you saw something in the clouds. You took a snapshot. And this is what you're saying, that people wouldn't believe you if you didn't even have a camera. Can you quickly pull that picture up of what you saw? Is that possible?
Yes, yes,
Because
exactly.
it's unbelievable. If it weren't for technology today, people would be like, yeah, that really happened. Uh-huh. But God
No,
really is. I mean, I think that the key is that you asked he asked to trust and look at the heart that was in the clouds today, that you have proof. Like, trust God.
I know.
He is providing. I wish we had so much more time. Seriously, Kim, we could spend easily all afternoon. I want to just touch on the fact that 100% of us are gonna die. And in your book, you kind of touch on that
Mhm.
we've got to make a decision, right? And this is
Exactly.
important.
Well,
We
and
still
that's
have time.
exactly. And while we're breathing, we still have time. And that's one of the things that I'm saying, I'm talking about in my book, that 100% of us are going to die, but yet we all live as if it could never happen to us. I was one of them. I'm guilty of it. I didn't think that, I thought, oh yeah, death happens to everybody else's family, but not mine.
Right.
And boy, when it hit home, it was hard. It was like, wow, who did I think I was? But the thing of it is, and I'll tell you a little story about that too, Suzanne, is, when you lose a child or anybody that you love dies, there's a lot of emotions that go along with that. And one of the things that I had was a lot of guilt, thinking I should have been a better mom. I should have done this. I should have told him I loved him more and all this stuff. And I was just feeling like I wish I was a better mom. And my husband, bless his heart, I'm so thankful for him. But he said to me, and I'll never forget it. He said, Kim, he said, you were a good mom. He said, you taught Zach about Jesus, and he had accepted Christ. And so he's in heaven, and you know that you're going to be with him again someday. And he said, so how much better of a mom can you be than to teach your children about Jesus, and then they accept him and they have eternal life, the best life you could ever imagine. Better, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that, and then there's everything else, really. And I
Yeah,
think in our worldly thinking, we have it kind of backwards, upside down. And, one of the final thoughts is that God is closer than we realize.
definitely. He really is. And all we got to do is just call out to him, and he'll surprise us beyond anything that we could ever imagine. If something looks impossible or so painful that you can't get through it, he'll take the most painful thing and make it into the most beautiful thing. When you tell somebody it's a story about the death of a child, it's like you're expecting it to be like the most heart-wrenching stories and depression and everything like that, but it isn't. I mean, there's obviously a part in there that's really sad at the
Sure.
beginning, but the book is just telling you, when I was at down moments and stuff like that, how God came and just blew my mind beyond anything that I could have ever imagined. And so my heart's desire is to tell everyone that don't give up, don't be angry at God, because God's the giver of life. Satan was the one that created the death part. God's the giver of life. And so if we reach out to him and love on him, and just because he knows exactly how we feel, because he had to see his son die too and suffer. He had to watch him suffer. And so thankfully my son went very quickly and he didn't have to suffer. It wasn't what I wanted for him, but I do know he's in heaven and he's happier than I could ever make him on this earth.
Yeah. Kim, you are just walking light and hope and encouragement. And I think that your book is just what somebody needs to read right now. If you've lost a loved one, especially a child, think about getting Heaven's Postcards, A Mother's True Story. Kim Todd. Kim, thank you so much for joining us. Bless you. Thank you so much. And I wish that we could just go grab a cup of coffee right now, because you are just an amazing woman. I think that you've got so much more to share.
Oh,
Thank you.
I do. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for the opportunity. And I love you, my sister.
I love you, Kim. Thank you.